Hey, the rulers, DMO73 here with a feature match all about math. We have myself on Subtraction with Helen, perfect number witches, and we have Robert with addition thanks to Dragonflame via order. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series now offering our Q2 2024 circuit kits, and our guest lecturer members, Vizjerei. Class is in session. So as we get started here, just a reminder that this weekend is the chance to participate and play for the Alice extension roleplay mat over on the Ruler School server. There is a link in the description to get signed up. We hope to see you there. So let's talk about Helen. Helen is trying to road to the perfect number us to get to exactly 200 life during the beginning of an end phase so that we can win the game. And so we're doing subtraction and division, whereas Robert is doing addition thanks to Dragonflame trying to build a higher count of his dragon power. So we'll kind of see a lot of exactly how explosive Helen can be in terms of the number of game states reactions right at the beginning. So Witch of the Tower number 4 is going to begin the game by getting to explore 2, but we can hold priority to that to try to reveal the bottom card of our deck and see if it's a white card, stack that underneath so we can get closer to Trinity, and then we can explore, and this is just exploring off of that. We can reveal a treasure or a witch, because Helen likes the witch's bee treasures. And then we also hit Kiki, an old card that we get to then put into the play for free, draw 2 and put 1 back on top. And this is still all before we've even used Helen's exploration ability, which lets us expel another 2. Or explore another 2. So the whole idea of the deck is you are trying to explore as much as possible to set up a triad of witches plus remnants of the ruin in your RFG so that you can flip and do some cool math and try to alt-win con people. So using Helen there to explore, we get to send a witch to the RFG, and then we also helps us stack white cards on the bottom of our deck so that our witches can then get more light cards added to them and then get Trinity. So like how you see, there's a lot of game state actions that took place off of just one will through the manipulation thanks to Helen, which is really interesting. And so let's see exactly how Robert's going to follow up with this. You see there is a very good card here for this matchup, particularly that Mechanized Fenrir. Being able to make it so that my resonators and J ruler don't have abilities is huge, because that just shuts me off of the outwin con of the deck, which puts me in a bad position. Now, that being said, the deck does have lots of good ways to apply pressure other ways. Insatiable Desire for Knowledge is very, very good to be able to set some stuff up. Thankfully, Helen, unlike Celesta back in the day, can explore during either player's turn, and so that sets us up for some really nice being able to really dig through and get to the setup as quickly as possible. Going for an Explore here, hoping that we hit a Remnants of the Ruin, ultimately hitting another Kiki, which is nice, just another body, draw 2, put 1 back. We're trying to dig for things like Secret Duel in the Moonlight, which you'll see I just decked into, which is very helpful. Now I just need to get the Remnants of the Ruin, so we're probably going to go ahead and call Stone. 4C, we know what that card is, we kind of want it on top, that's fine. We're going to use the Witch to then stack a card underneath by revealing if it's white, and oh hey look, it is. You're almost never going to just fully whiff on that because of the fact that you're manipulating the bottom of your deck just as much as the top of your deck, but it is pretty neat to understand here. We might go in for another exploration here off of another witch potentially. It does come down to whether we want to hold some interaction or not. Ultimately, we're just going to choose to pass turn and leave up some interaction. Going into Robert's turn, we do see that coined out Mechanized Fenrir, which is really good in this particular matchup. I do have to now kind of fight to be able to set up that alt-win con, especially I do have Secret Duel in the Moonlight, which can be helpful, but I do need to get to a second fire source before I can get that there, so it does slow me down quite a bit. This also means I can no longer be stacking cards in the bottom of the deck. The Kikis aren't very good. I do have a Remnants of the Ruin there, which is nice. I can't respond to the ordering at all. We can respond to the attempt to gain 5 dragon power here. We're going to just go ahead and cast Remnants of the Ruin to get ourselves a witch and stack it underneath. This is just to get another body on board. we can start maybe applying some pressure that way too. Maybe force Robert to try to swing in, or force Robert to have to try to block just because of the sheer amount of bodies there, especially if we can hit a insatiable desire for knowledge off of the Helen exploration. Suddenly these witches are swinging in for a ton of damage. We hit a cursed mirror getting explored there. At the end of the turn, we're going to go ahead and try to use Kiki's exploration, explore another 4. We're really, at this point in time, kind of trying to hit insatiable desire for knowledge so that we can make these witches really pressure him down and force him to get rid of the mechanized fenrir for us, so that we're then set up to be able to pull the alt win con off. We do see remnants of the ruin here, which is nice. We want to get that RFG'd, instead choosing to hit a 3rd witch. Drawing for turn, we see a mirror, which was very helpful for the deck to be able to protect the combo turn for the alt win con. Do have Secret Duel in the Moonlight. This sets us up for next turn when we want to be able to kill the mechanized fenrir, but for right now, it's not the greatest idea to try to go in for it, mainly because A, Robert's a red deck, so it has potential burn, and B, we can't possibly flip this turn, so it's better for us to just kind of sit and wait in order to be able to do the math. Now we could swing in, we could probably set up explorers here. We still need to get that Remnants of the Ruined RFG, that is the biggest piece here. See a Terminator drone come down. And then move to recovery. Robert's certainly not going to risk swinging in with that mechanized fenrir. That's the one thing here, is he's kind of going to be stuck on that J ruler for a while. So if I can spot remove it, it puts me in a pretty decent spot. Next turn, we're going to be trying to set up, probably next turn, we're going to try to set up for the alt win con here, so we can show you exactly how that works. Having the mirror is certainly very helpful. Also leading in with something like if the deck was playing something akin to Girl Staring At, to be able to like pre-recovery set that up. Moonshades in this deck mean absolutely nothing. Like, our life total is going to get burned a lot anyway, so it's not a huge deal. We want to get down to 200 life, so it's not that much of a threat. So down comes, looks like a Pang Tong. Pang Tong's going to come in. It's going to definitely clear the board because it's going to hit the board for 500 damage, which I think we're kind of okay with. Again, we don't really care about trying to go lethal here. This leaves Robert with only 1 will to be able to interact. He's probably not going to swing in with the mechanized fenrir because he knows if he does, it might open him up to something worse. We still are in a position where we need to hit another witch, though, or we need to hit a Remnants of the Ruin to be able to perform Judgment. Swings in for 100 with the drone, so we just need to see what we hit here, and thankfully we do see Remnants of the Ruin to be able to RFG that. Now we could have, tried to respond to the Pang Tong and like gotten all of our witches RFG'd as well. It would have been maybe more of a secure setup there, but ultimately it worked out either way because we're just trying to go in at this point. So we have 3 witches and a Remnants of the Ruin Explorer in the RFG. That's all that we need. Paying ourselves down to a grand total through the Moonshades, and it paying a grand total of 3,500 life to take ourselves down to 200 through Secret Duel of the Moonlight. This is going to get to draw us a card, and because we're doing the Awakening, we could do target both of those things to be able to remove it. Now, keep in mind, we also could have just paid 1 moon instead to apply it as a stat neg, which arguably might have been better, to be able to just apply a permanent stat neg to the board so that whatever Robert was going to put in would also die. But we're feeling pretty confident about our ability to kind of clear things out here. So paying ourselves down to 200 is going to draw some cards. We're going to be able to Judgment, and then we're set up to be able to do the alt win con with a mirror in our hand as protection. Subtraction. So if it goes through, we'll be at 200 life, and at the end of the turn, Helen will trigger, Road to the Sacred Number will trigger, and if it resolves, we have ourselves down to 100 life, and we win the game through alt win con condition. So a nice little turn 4 kind of combo piece here to kind of close it out. So heading to the road to the perfect number, seeing if we get it to pull off here. Waiting to see what Robert's 1 point of interaction might be. Now the biggest risk here is if there was like an ordered Daji, right? That would be the biggest problem. Because if there is an ordered Daji, then we just get burned for 500, which then we die, which is the biggest weakness of this deck, because there's no way for me to stop the enter ability, which is why I think there's a world where this deck plays Lumias as well, to be able to say like, oh, I'm about to get burned, let me just gain a bunch of life and kind of try again next turn, kind of a thing. But we do have the mirror, and then Robert says, yep, you got it. So we math ourselves down to 100 life and achieve the alt win con and go into game 2. So here we are, game 2. Robert choosing to take the coin yet again, which makes sense. It's the order deck. Let's see if we can set up a nice answer to potential mechanized Fenrir early, or if we'll get burned out. I mean, I would think as Robert in this position, holding on to something like an ordered Daji, you see there is a Daji there, doing something like threatening the mechanized Fenrir and then an order for Daji would be kind of how I would respond to this matchup, particularly putting it into a position where I have to burn life to be able to answer the mechanized Fenrir, and in doing so set myself up to be able to then order in the Daji and just kill when I'm at so low life. But we have a very similar opening gambit. We have Emerald Tablet off the top, we get the Witch, we get to stack a card underneath it, we get to explore, we hit a Kiki, we are tempted to do Remnants of the Ruin here, choosing actually to go for it, Remnants of the Ruin, getting to then remove the Witch and the card stacked underneath it from the game. That's a mistake here, it should have also removed the addition, and then we'll just use Remnants of the Ruin right again to put the Witch right back into play and explore another 2 to try to set it up. Seeing a Wise Dragon go to the bottom there, and then setting us up for that same kind of position. So knowing fully well we aren't going to have a water card underneath, that's fine, but it does set us up for automatically being in a good spot to be able to go in for a judgment very quickly. We see an order to come out here. Just deciding what we want to order here. Looks like there might be 2 Dajis in that hand, or it's at least, or maybe a Zhuge Liang and a Daji. Ultimately deciding to order the Daji instead. I think the Zhuge Liang might have been a better call, just to be able to have a little bit more will to be able to play. And again, like I said, put ourselves in a position where we can kind of punish any kind of burn through the use of the Daji through an order, so it cannot be targeted with mirror. We know that my main point of responsiveness is the mirror, so we'll see exactly how that goes. Choosing to see what kind of dragon we're going to search for here. Does look like maybe a mechanized blade dragon. Although maybe a mechanized Fenrir could be something that we see here. Although I don't think that mechanized Fenrir is a dragon, so we can't search for that. But whatever we add is going to come back to our hand for sure. Thanks to the ordering, the revolution ability of Daji. Thinking long and hard about what we're going to grab here. Does choose to side mechanized blade dragon, so this is going to go to grave and then come back to hand. And then we're going to see a Callstone and probably a pass from Robert. We know there's a Wise Dragon on the bottom of my deck, so we're certainly not going to stack any more cards underneath that. Unless we're going to try to explore. There's a world where we explore here, hit 2 white cards, and then we can tuck the other one onto the Witch number 4. Does get to burn me for 5, but we don't really super mind that. Calls a stone. And then just going to pass the turn there. We're going to explore, try to hit a couple white cards. Do see a Kiki there that we're going to try to cast for free. Gets us to stack another card back on top, which we're probably going to explore. We're going to go to our turn before draw. hits us another witch, stacks another white card. Still before we even draw for turn, we're going to stack that white card underneath the witch, draw for turn, and then move to recovery. So we're in good position right now, there being the Moonshade as well, which means we have the will to be able to play for Secret Duel of the Moonlight. We just need a Secret Duel of the Moonlight now. But we're probably going to set up for some good explore options here. Do see our third witch with a different name, so we're set up for being able to play Judgment next turn. We are setting that threat up. We know that it was Remnants of the Ruin, but we're still at least going to try. It's just a matter of, can we find ourselves a Secret Duel of the Moonlight here? Thinking about maybe casting the Kiki just to dig 2, ultimately just using to pass the turn. We do see a Terminator drone come down as well. Set up a nice little board state here. Obviously, if we do see a tap out for a Pang Tong, we're in pretty good shape. We're just going to let the board get cleared. Even the Daji wouldn't be able to actually, like, there would be nothing to order the Pang Tong, order afterwards. So we're pretty safe. We do have to worry about something like Chivalry's Tears, though if there's only one Chivalry's Tears, then we're in a good spot because we have a mirror. That becomes, the biggest trick of this matchup, is just kind of like against red burn decks, you got to be careful, because if they have some kind of burn in response to what you're doing, you could be in for a bad time. Pay 1. This is also a very good choice here, Dragon Crystal. It is a pay 0 burn 200 damage potential option, which is pretty good. Also technically sitting at pay 1, get another 200 damage. So that's something I have to answer to be able to not just die as soon as I go down to a certain amount of life. I can cancel the activates, but with Robert, because I have a mirror, but with Robert having a stone up to be able to do 1 and then a second one, we're in that's pretty good. Now I could use the witch here to be able to try to remove all of its abilities before, so that I don't get burned out that way, which is certainly an option. Stacking a couple cards underneath, gonna stack another card under there. It's another white card, so we're at a good point for witch number 4. To be able to potentially mess with the Dragon Crystal. Thankfully, though, we do just have 5 treasures in the RFG, so we can just Wise Dragon, which is free. So we can pay this and try to put Terminator Drone and his Dragon statue back in his hand, get those out of the way so the instant speed burn isn't there, and then we're right back to the save swap where we were before, where we have Crimson Secret Duel in the Moonlight, and then 1 point of interaction to be able to mess with it. At that point in time, the only real threat becomes Chivalry's Tears or an ordered Daji. And if there's multiple Chivalry's Tears, we'd be in bad straits here. So choosing to try to swing in, seeing if we could maybe bait Robert to block with that Daji or burn that last will. Ultimately does choose to just let the hat swing happen. Gonna try to perform Judgment. Go to road to this perfect number. No enter effects there. Does have the nice Eternal, seeing if Robert has a response to the performance of Judgment. Says nope, we get to move on. At that point in time, we're going to just do Secret Duel in the Moonlight to pay ourselves down to 200 life. Just going to draw some cards there. And again, this is the reason why it's a little bit riskier with this to try to, because of the Emerald Tablet, to like gain my life back up, but it is something to kind of take note of. Down comes the Daji activate ability. We're not going to try to stop it. We're just going to let Robert try to draw into something. Robert has to see a Chef's Tears here. Double Chef's Tears means I die. A single Chef's Tears without a burn spell to follow it up, or without another Daji, also means I die, or means I stay alive. This is, a potential just like pretty risky but pretty aggressive playline for me to just say, I don't want to deal with anything you've got cooking. Let's see what I can do. Does try to, same kind of thing we saw before. Dragon Flame enters the Game of Gods to try to remove all of her abilities, so I don't have that trigger at the end of the turn to be able to try to win the game, which would be a pretty good position to put me in. I mean, the fact that I would be at 200 life going into the burn player's turn with all of their will available, but thankfully we do have another mirror in hand, so we're well protected to be able to kind of go in and lock things out that way. So if there's no Chef's Tears here, that means we are locked into the game, and so we'll see exactly what happens. Curse Mirror does get to resolve, so it goes to the Expel, and then we try to trigger Perfect Number, and we math for lethal. So there is the deck. The Helen Witches deck will be up later this week, and until next time, this is DMO73 saying class dismissed.